Okay, class. So for today's lesson, we will discuss buying and selling in our Module 2 Business Mathematics. So we have our learning objectives. So at the end of our lesson, the learners will be able to differentiate markdown and markup, illustrate how markdown and markup are obtained, and differentiate markup from margins, illustrate how to compute single trade discounts and discount series, and also solve problems involving buying and selling and profit and loss. Buying and selling. In the following section, we will define what we mean by the concept of selling price and see some solved examples that shall help us to solve the questions of selling price. Profit and loss is the branch of basic mathematics which deals with the study of profit and loss made in a business transaction. The profit and loss account is fundamentally a summary of the trading transactions of a business and shows whether it has made a profit or loss during a particular period of account. Indeed, by deducting the total expenditure from total income, the profit or loss of a business can be calculated. So, a business profit and loss statement shows how much money your business earned and lost within a period of time. Profit and loss is used in mathematics to determine the price of a commodity. So yung commodity, ito yung mga kagamitan, kalakal, paninda at iba pa sa market, at para mas maunawaan kung paano kumikita ang isang negosyo. Profitable ba ang negosyo mo o hindi? So every product has a cost price and selling price, or yung tinatawag nating amount or halaga ng binibentang items or produkto. Based on the values of these prices, we can calculate the profit or the loss na natamo ng isang produkto. Selling price. Price can be a sensitive issue. If priced too high, a dish may not sell, or customers may complain or not return to the business as they may feel they have not received value for money. Alternately, if a dish is underpriced and does not make a profit, the business will be damaged financially and will face problems in the future if it does not rectify the situation. A method to ensure that a profit margin is achieved is to build the target percentage of gross profit into the selling price. So the selling price, therefore, is the amount of a buyer pays for a product or services. The price can vary depending on how much buyers are willing to pay, how much the seller is willing to accept, and how competitive the price is in comparison to the other business in the market. So sa makatuwid, ang selling price ng isang product or ng isang produkto o isang serbisyo ay tumutukoy sa kasalukuyang halaga at kung magkano ang babayaran ng isang customer or client sa produkto o serbisyo ng isang negosyo. So in basic terms, food costs plus gross profit is equal to selling price. Now take note, class, that the formula food cost plus gross profit equals selling price applicable siya sa mga business na in-related sa pagnenegosyo ng pagkain, or for example, restaurant business, no? So yung food cost, ito yung tumutukoy sa ratio ng kabuuang ginastos ng isang restaurant sa mga ingredients sa paggawa ng isang pagkain. Yung gross Profit naman, ito yung kabuuang kita ng isang negosyo sa paggawa ng product nila or ng pagkain at sa ginastos nito sa paggawa at sa pagbenta nito. So that makes sense, no? With cost plus gross profit equals selling price. The word gross means the kabuuan, ito yung total na kita. So what is selling price? So we have the basic definition of selling price. It is the amount at which the product is to be sold. That is the regular price, for example. Sa halimbawa, if you buy an item in the department store, then you have a tag price for an item. So dun sa tag price na yun, makikita mo yung selling price niya, yung price, no? Yung kasalukuyan niyang halaga or the present price of product or an item. Next definition naman ng selling price is the amount set by the seller in exchange of his or product or services. Next is cost price. Cost price is the total cost involved in selling a product. The totality of the cost, no? Lahat ng ginastos nandyan na sa cost price na yan. This involves purchase price or what we call this, the fixed cost. So pag sinabi natin fixed cost, it is constant. Kaya nga siya tinawag na fixed, no? Constant means it doesn't change. Hindi siya nagbabago. A fixed cost is a cost that does not change with an increase or decrease in the amount of goods or services, no? Kahit tumaas pa yung halaga ng mga ingredients mo, yung fixed cost hindi pa rin siya magbabago, hindi siya tataas. Kumbaga, kung ano lang yung binabayaran mo buwan-buwan, yan lang din yung magiging halaga niya, no? So for example, yung renta mo sa pwesto mo, diba, you have space for your own business, no? So yung space na yun, magrerenta ka buwan-buwan. Buwan-buwan mo yung babayaran. So yung binabayaran mo na yun, may ituturing nating fixed cost. So another example is yung property taxes. So if you have a business, a legal business for example, so meron kang binabayarang buwis. Say for example, yung buwis na binabayaran mo is yearly kang bumabayad dyan. So yung buwis na yan, maituturing natin fixed cost. It doesn't change. So that are constant whatever the quantity of goods or services of your business produce. And all other expenses, including the variable costs. So ano naman yung variable cost? It is a cost that change. So opposite siya ng fixed cost. Kung yung fixed cost constant siya, hindi siya nag-change. Yung variable cost naman, ito yung halaga na nagbabago. It's the quantity of the goods or services that a business produces changes. Now, for example, of variable costs are sales commission. Yung sales commission, pwede kang mag-indicate ng commission of 10%, 5%, or 2% for every item na ibibenta mo. So, that makes sense na magbabago. It changes from time to time. Depende yan sa trend ng isang produkto. The amount spent to purchase or to come up with a product or services. Expenses is the amount spent on operation of the business. So, ito yung mga ginastos mo sa pagpapatakbo mo sa iyong negosyo. This may also include electric bill or water bill. So, since na pag nag-operate na yung business mo, obviously gagamit ka talaga ng kuryente at ng tubig. So, this is a part of your business and will be included as your expenses. So, let's proceed to cost price. So, the formulas to calculate cost price. So, we have two conditions to be followed. So, condition number 1, if selling price of an article or the item or product, tinatawag din natin siyang article, and gain on its selling are given. So, pag sa problem, given tayo ng article or ng cost of the product or yung selling price ng product, and then given tayo ng gain ng product or yung profit ng product, the cost price of the article will be selling price minus gain. So yung formula niya is cost price equals selling price minus gain, or we can also state this as cost price equals selling price minus the profit or yung kita. Gain means kita, ayan class. So if selling price, the second condition we have, if selling price of an article and loss on its selling are given, so pag sa problem, yung given natin is yung selling price mismo, and then we have the loss, the cost price of the article or the item or the product will be selling price plus the loss. So the formula is cost price equals selling price plus loss. Markup. To cover the cost of doing business and to earn profit, retailers need to sell their items at higher price. This is done by adding costs of their merchandise, an amount called markup. Markup is the difference between the selling price and the cost price. It is computed based on the markup percentage. So it is stated that it is the difference between selling price and cost price. So yung formula natin, markup amount is equals to selling price minus cost price. Okay, so in addition to this, markup refers to a pricing strategy wherein the price of a product or services is determined by calculating the sum of products and a percentage of its markup. So in other words, it is the method of adding a percentage to a product cost to determine its selling price. So it is also means that the business can set their retail or selling price by adding a certain markup to the cost they incurred from creating the goods or services. Markup is an important calculation for specialty contractors, remodelers of a certain product, or a new home builders, for example. So if the markup is correctly calculated, businesses give themselves enough money to cover their overhead expenses and make a reasonable profit. So if markup is too low, you may be out of your business rather quickly. So markup percentage is a percentage of the cost price that the company wanted to add to determine the selling price of the product. It is calculated using the formula markup percent is equal to 100 times markup amount divided by our cost price. So let's have an example number 1. So how much must be the selling price of a monoblock table with a cost price of 525 pesos if the desired markup percentage is 28%? So let's solve this problem. Okay, so what we have to do is to determine what is given. In the problem, we're given with the cost price, which is equal to 525 pesos, as well as the markup percentage, which is 28%. So here we are to find the selling price of our monoblock table. Okay, so now that we know what is given in the problem as well as what is missing in the problem, let us try to determine what formula do we have to use. So since we are given with the cost price and as well as the markup percentage, we can use the formula. Markup is equal to the markup percentage multiplied by the cost. Now using this formula, we can now substitute whatever is given. We have markup is equal to 0.28 times 525. So please take note, class, instead of using 28%, we use its decimal equivalent, which is 0.28. Therefore, our markup is equal to 147 pesos. Now using our markup, we can now determine our selling price. Since we know that markup is given as the markup is equal to the selling price minus the cost, we can use this formula to determine our selling price. So substituting what is given, we have 147 is equal to the selling price minus 525. In order to solve for our selling price, we can transpose negative 525 to the other side of our equation. So magiging positive 525. Therefore, we have 147 plus 525 equal to our selling price. Simplifying this equation, we have selling price is equal to 672. Now that we have simplified this, we have gotten the selling price of our monoblock table, which is 672 pesos. Okay, so for example number 2, how much is the cost of a backpack sold for 381.90 pesos if the markup percentage is 34%? We are given the selling price, which is equal to 381.90 pesos, and the markup percentage, which is equal to 34%. We are to find the cost price of the backpack sold. And so given that we only have this selling price and our markup percentage, we can use the formula of getting the markup. So the markup is equal to the markup percentage times the cost. Now we can use this by substituting what is given in the problem. We have markup is equal to 0.34 times C. Now we know that this is the temporary value for markup. We can use another formula in getting the cost. So the other formula is markup is equal to the selling price minus the cost. Now substituting what value of markup is here, we have 0.34C is equal to the selling price minus the cost. Then simplifying this or combining our like terms by transposing C to the other side of our equation, we have 0.34C plus C is equal to our selling price. So since these are common terms because they both have the same variable, which is C, we can add them together. So 0.34C plus C is 1.34C. And then we have also the selling price, which we can determine as 381.90. So dividing both sides by 1.34, we can cancel this 1. Then C is equal to 285 pesos. So the cost of the backpack is 285 pesos. Let us now proceed to mark on. Mark on is a temporary markup on a certain products to take advantage of high demand during peak sales like week price to Christmas opening classes, Mother's Day graduation month, etc. Mark-on is used to temporarily maximize earnings, and the price is usually returned to its original selling price when the demand for the product is on a normal level. The formula for mark-on amount is equal to new selling price minus current selling price. And we have also another formula. Mark-on amount is equal to mark-on percentage times the current selling price. So we have example number 3. For computing mark-on solutions, a fast-selling item in a department store is currently being sold for 675.35 pesos. Because of high demand for the item, the store decided to apply a mark-on percentage of 22%. Find the new selling price. Let's solve this problem. Okay, so we read it again. If a fast-selling item in a department store is currently being sold for 675.35 pesos, because of high demand for the item, the store decided to apply a mark-on percentage of 22%. Find the new selling price. So we have here the current selling price, which is equal to 675.35 pesos. And we have also our mark-on percentage, which is equal to 22%. Now, to determine our new selling price, we make use of our formula for the mark-on. We know that mark-on is equal to the mark-on percentage times the current selling price. So substituting all of our values, we have the mark-on is equal to 0.22 times 675.35, and simplifying this one, we know that our mark-on is equal to 148.14. So now that we have our mark-on, we can determine our new selling price by utilizing the other formula. We have our mark-on is equal to the new selling price minus the current selling price. And so, substituting what is given, we have 148.14 is equal to the new selling price minus 675.35, and transposing this one to the other side, we have 148.14 plus 675.35 is equal to the new selling price. Now simplifying this one, we have 823.93 as our new selling price.